Hey everyone, I'm Dorothy, the creator of the Victorian Tarot. Doing a two-card draw for career. Now, this is applicable as a timing reading, like a random layout, or it's somebody looking for career help and then they stumble over this video. We've got the Queen of Clubs, and if you're looking to advance your career, this is how you read nuance really. If you're looking to advance your career, you may run into difficulty with the area of being seen as a loyal employee or being seen as a person who will stay long enough for everybody to feel like they got their value out of training or becoming used to systems. So this sometimes indicates having changed jobs a number of times, or maybe too fast to change from the last new job to this one, not necessarily inspiring a sense in an employer, in an interviewer, that you would be there for the longer term. Now, if you're already employed and the Queen of Clubs, then she becomes a bit haughty. She will do what's best for herself and everybody else be damned. And so on the track forward, that's male, female, it doesn't matter, she's a queen, so blah blah. When you are on a track and looking for promotions or looking to get further up the scale, having the support of people by them liking you, whether they're above you or below you, actually does matter. You might get further along the scale just relying on schmoozing the bosses, but ultimately you may not get the results if the people that are under you are also not behind you because they don't feel like you're there for them, that you're only there for you, that you take the glory. This is this queen, that you take the glory and will throw them to the dogs if there's something better on the horizon or if it's in your interest to do so. And then, as an employer, as a boss in the career sector, you may struggle with loyalty from your employees, from the people that are under you. Something really interesting. It's not that this queen runs around slaying everybody around her, it's more that if something's better for her, she will choose her over anything else, no matter how big the conflict, no matter how big the problem for other people to pick up the pieces or the damage even done to a company. She will do what's best for her. So that can be compromising. And if that's in your employees, it may be an employee you've got if you're asking about co workers or people around you that you may be struggling with. But also, it could indicate that you're struggling to get a team together. And that's actually your own choice. When you build a team, you need to look at who's got the best attributes, not just who you like the most, maybe, because this queen is very likable, very attractive. Um, the second card we've got another court card, which is interesting, and of course another changeable card. We've got the Queen and the King of Clubs coming out. How unusual would that be? And so that suggests to eclectic tastes in the area of career, too many changes, following a passion without necessarily considering other necessities. That's not a bad thing or a good thing, but a passion can be just money. You could take a job or hold a job just because it pays well and yet be miserable for 40 hours a week. I'm going to say it ain't worth it. You're better to take a little drop. And other times it's not necessarily considering factors that are also playing a role: what you have to wear, how far you have to travel, how long it takes you to get to work, how far as in fuel costs, and how long it takes you as in you could live in a country um, district or a smaller rural area where travelling 20 k's is not an issue because there's no traffic, yet otherwise you could live in a city situation. And I'm not even going to talk about the nightmare called Auckland and traffic, always 30 years behind the numbers of vehicles on the road, and always optimistic that we're fine. So it could take you an hour to drive a normal 20-minute distance and longer depending on what's going on. So these are factors in costings because nobody pays you to drive to work or to drive home. So thinking about that is pretty important actually when it comes down to determining that if you work closer to home and you earn a bit less, you may actually end up with the same amount of disposable income. That is, the income in your pocket at the end of the day. You could even work less hours somewhere and earn the equal amount of money simply by traveling less or not being caught up with paying for parking or any number of factors. So this king suggests a lot of change and shifting around a fair bit, which may not have helped you in the past, or even asking for promotions too soon, or in a company thinking I'm in here and then 3 months later going, now I want to work in a different town or a different district. You're just a bunny hop. Any early requests that are driven by that's what I want, without the other considerations, could nobble you. One, they might say no, and two, they might think you're unreliable. We don't know if we can trust you to stay and train and take you up the ladder, without thinking as soon as you get a leg up, as soon as you get a pay increase, as soon as we give you something, you're going to run away with that and use it somewhere else. So these aren't the best cards to draw for a career question. They suggest that you need to maybe take a slow down and have a look at what you've been doing, what is your history, and if it's not so good that you're not getting where you need to go, you need to understand you never start at the top. Nobody ever does. You never start in the best position. Nobody ever does. What we call luck is usually somebody who's prepared well, they do their job well, and they put themselves in a position over time that they can make gains from. It's one of those realities of life. While some people seem to be fortunate in rising above the ladder, they might have spent more time training than you did in university and maybe in another job, getting themselves the skills required for that particular job that nobody around you has. So thinking backwards, I guess, is looking at what kind of a job you would like before trying out for it and getting any refusals or showing your hand to your current employer. We live in a world actually where there are a lot of quite shirty employers around. If you've got a boss in their 30s, unfortunately, there is some mental gap between being a good employee and also being just an employee. There's a mental gap between these two. We demand this off you has become more prevalent in recent years. To be honest, it's a backward step. It reminds you of the 40s and the 50s, where the manager said jump, you jumped, or you got sacked. And now there is no real respect or loyalty, which also plays into these cards. We've always had companies that were loyal and companies that were not. We've always had big business that was actually were great for their employers, and we've had small employers who have been terrible for their employees. So when these two come up as your employer, think twice before showing your hand, and make sure you've got all of your all of your ducks in a row before you start telling them or informing them of what your plans are, or they'll make your life miserable. And I do mean miserable. So I'm Dorothy. This is the Victorian Tarot Career Spread. Ciao for now.